Tonight with me, Hafiz Marzukhi. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim has issued a stern warning against the misuse of freedom of assembly to spread lies and slanders. Anwar stressed that while people had the right to organise peaceful assemblies, it should not be exploited and should be based on genuine concerns.
His remarks came after reports that PAS Youth was planning a rally against the Urban Renewal Act, claiming it would displace minorities and comparing it to the plight of Palestinians. Anwar said the proposed legislation expected to be tabled this year was aimed at helping the urban poor, a majority of whom were Malay. He earlier gave his assurance the act would not alter the status of the affected land and also dismissed claims the bill would see Malay reserve land being seized. He added that the government will use the necessary legal provisions to ensure redevelopment projects proceed in the best interest of the people.
The Malaysia Competition Commission, or MICC, is not conducting any investigation into alleged rice cartels, as no bid rigging was identified in its recent study. Its Chief Executive Officer, Iskandar Ismail, says the Commission had only conducted a general study on the rice and paddy industry.
Menteri telah menyebut kata tiada isu nampak amalan anti persaingan apa yang dikatakan dalam parlimen tu. So jadi kami tidak menyiasat mana-mana pihak lah. Ya. Kami menyediakan kajian am tu saja.
He was responding to Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Minister Dato' Armizan Muhammad Ali's remarks that MICC found no anti-competition violations in the industry based on its findings. Armizan said that the responsibility for reforming the rice and paddy industry has now been handed over to the Agriculture and Food Security Ministry. Civil servants will have the option of flexible working hours during the month of Ramadan. Communications Minister Fahmi Fazil says the arrangement was made after discussions with the Chief Secretary to the Government and the Director General of Public Service.
Penjawat awam diberikan dua pilihan, iaitu option A, kekal seperti waktu bekerja sedia ada, ataupun option B, bagi bulan Ramadan, yang mana mereka boleh memendekkan waktu rehat selama 30 minit untuk pulang ke rumah 30 minit lebih awal.
Fahmi reminded those selecting option B to ensure they fulfill their responsibilities before leaving early. He urged civil servants to refer to their ministry or department heads for further clarification on the new rule.
ASEAN must adopt a new approach to boost its economic resilience, says Investment, Trade and Industry Minister Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul Abdul Aziz. This includes enhancing cooperation with regional blocs like the Gulf Cooperation Council or GCC, which will be a key focus during Malaysia's chairmanship.
It's important for us to enhance internal cohesion and also diversify our external partnerships. Strengthening economic integration within the region, and then accelerating initiatives like RCEP and engaging with other global partners could mitigate the adverse effects of policy shifts by major economies. So one of them is the proposed second ASEAN GCC Summit and the ASEAN GCC China Summit, which will be presented by Malaysia during this retreat.
Zafrul also highlighted the imbalance of intra-ASEAN trade as among the challenges faced by the group to achieve regional economic integration.
When you look at trade and intra-trade itself is less than 25%. And at the same time, we all look at the trade balances between ASEAN member countries, some of course positive, surplus, some are deficit. One area that we think we can work stronger is through the Digital Economic Framework Agreement to make it more inclusive, because any challenges that are faced by leaders is always to ensure that not just the big players benefit from this ASEAN integration.
He said this in the opening speech of the 31st ASEAN Economic Ministers Retreat on Friday. Held from February 26 to 28th, the event brings together ASEAN ministers, deputy ministers and senior economic officials to discuss enhancing the bloc's economic cooperation. Malaysia and Cambodia have discussed the proposal to establish the Malaysia-Cambodia Joint Trade Committee to enhance trade promotion. Investment, Trade and Industry Minister Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul Abdul Aziz says the committee could facilitate investment opportunities and strengthen economic cooperation between Malaysia and Cambodia. In a posting on social media platform X, he highlighted Malaysia-Cambodia's strong economic ties after meeting Cambodia's Trade Minister Sham Nimol at the 31st ASEAN Economic Ministers Retreat in Desaru. He noted that in 2024 alone, the trade volume between the two countries grew by more than 40%, reaching US $191 million. Tengku Zafrul is chairing the 31st AEM retreat in Desaru today, with over 200 delegates in attendance from ASEAN member states and Timor-Leste. We'll go for a short break. Don't go anywhere.
Kerap menggaru kulit kepala disebabkan kelumur, masalahnya lebih mendalam. Gunalah Head and Shoulders menembusi 5 lapisan untuk membasmi kelumur dan kegatalan. Bebas kelumur sehingga 100%. Head and Shoulders diuji secara dermatologi.
This is digital karma.
Kalau aku tak bunuh dia, kita yang mati. Bukan aku tak sedar. Orang yang aku tembak tu penjahat. Aku akan bunuh Ibu Sarah. This is what been missing this whole time. They need a face, Iman. You.
One Cent Thief, Season 2. Stream episod baharu setiap Jumaat on demand di Astro Citra dan Astro Go.
Thailand has deported 40 Uyghurs to China, despite warnings they could face torture or even death. The group, which had been detained in Thailand for over a decade, is believed to have been flown to China's Xinjiang region on Thursday. However, the deportation was carried out in secrecy, with no prior announcement from Thai authorities. Reports indicate that several trucks, with their windows covered in black plastic sheets, transported the detainees from Bangkok's main immigration center in the early hours of the morning. Flight trackers later showed an unscheduled China Southern Airlines flight departing from Bangkok and landing in Xinjiang. The Thai government has defended its decision, saying the detainees had been in custody for too long and that no third country, including Turkey, had stepped forward to take them in. However, human rights groups have strongly condemned the move, saying it violates international law and puts the deported individuals at high risk. The United Nations, the US, and the European Union have all expressed deep concerns, with the UK also opposing the deportation. China has denied allegations of mistreatment, calling the group illegal immigrants who left China unlawfully. Firefighters continued to battle a fire blazing across Japan's northeastern coastal city of Ofunato on Friday. At least one person has died so far, and thousands of residents forced to evacuate.
Around 1,800 personnel and 7 helicopters are involved in firefighting efforts. The wildfire is estimated to have burned around 1,200 hectares of land over the past 3 days, destroying at least 84 homes. Aerial footage shows smoke rising from a forested hillside and the charred remains of buildings. Local media reported over 1,300 households have been evacuated, with more than 3,000 people seeking refuge in reception centers.
US President Donald Trump says that his government had good talks on Gaza. Trump made the comments at a joint White House press conference with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer when he was asked whether Phase 2 of the ceasefire in Gaza would come to fruition.
It's a rough situation, but I think we're going to make it much better. And I think that we've had a huge impact on that since we've been in just the 4 weeks. I think we've had a huge impact on Gaza, the Middle East, and we have some pretty good talks going on concerning lots of other people that are going to make it better. So we'll see what happens. Nobody really knows, but we'll see what happens. But I think we've had a very positive impact. So we're working very hard in the Middle East and Gaza and all of the problems, and it's been going on for years and years and centuries and centuries. It's a tough neighborhood, but it could be a very beautiful neighborhood, and I think we're going to come up with some pretty good solutions. But Phase 1 is almost complete. We've had some people that have been very seriously injured, very seriously hurt, both physically and mentally.
Talks have begun in Egypt for the second phase of the Gaza ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas. This comes ahead of the truce's first phase expiring tomorrow.
An Israeli delegation joined mediators from Qatar and the US in Cairo to assess whether there was enough common ground to extend the deal. Talks over the second phase of the ceasefire are meant to negotiate a complete end of the war. It would include the return of all remaining captives in Gaza and the complete withdrawal of Israeli troops from the territory. According to Israel, there are still 59 captives remaining in Gaza, 24 of whom are believed to be alive. Instead of entering into Phase 2, it has expressed willingness to extend the framework of Phase 1 in return for the release of more hostages.
Countries reach a deal to generate $200 billion a year to help preserve the world's biodiversity on Thursday. The financing deal was crucial in supporting a global pledge made in 2022 to protect 30% of land and oceans by 2030, sometimes shortened to the 30 by 30 target.
The deal was agreed at a resumed session of the UN Nature Talks COP16, which originally convened in the Colombian city of Cali last October, but ran into overtime and lost quorum. The Rome meeting was scheduled to address the issue of how to pay for nature conservation. Negotiators worked late into Thursday night to find an agreement, and the room burst into applause when the text was adopted. The United States is not a party to the UN Convention on Biological Diversity. Throughout the negotiations in Rome, countries stressed the need for multilateralism to overcome a step back from the United States in international aid and other multilateral forums.
That wraps up AWANI Tonight. Check out our web portal, keeping you informed on the critical events shaping our world, all in one place at international.astroawani.com. That's all for now. I'm Hafiz Marzukhi. Thanks for watching. Have a good weekend.